My eye had been twitching for months. I honestly can't even tell you how long my eye was twitching. It became such a normal thing that I barely even realized that it was happening. My eye was twitching. I did not know how to stop it. I knew that it was from stress. I have a lot of emotionally painful situations going on in my life. Anyway, I knew it was from stress, and I did not know how to stop it from twitching. Well, just a couple of days ago, it stopped. I wasn't purposefully doing anything that I knew of, but the only thing that I did that immediately afterwards I realized that my eye stopped twitching is I got to a boiling point and I was so hurt. I just didn't want to be strong anymore. And so I prayed and I just let it all out. Like I was just gut honest, raw with God, just expressing my pain over the situations, over the situations that I'm going through with family members, particularly painful situations. And I have been hoping and wishing and praying for a certain one of my family members to turn around and realize that I love him and that I'm not against him and that I'm totally and completely supportive of him, but he chooses to remain immature, does not acknowledge the pain that he's causing himself with his own immature, self-destructive ways, and refuses to stop, of course, because you can't deal with what you won't face. And then like turn around and blame me like I'm the problem when I have nothing to do with these choices that he makes. But anywho, he is this family member has been extremely disrespectful to me, just dumping all of his anger and just plain spite and hatefulness at me. And it hurts. It very much hurts when somebody that you love treats you like that. Anyway, I just was pouring my heart out to God and just admitting that it's so painful to be treated like this by someone that I truly love. I love this family member without any selfish motive. I just love them. I just want the best for him. I just want to see him be great. I just want to see him happy. I just want to see him living his best life. I want to give him the advantage. I want to, support him. I want to protect him. I love him from a pure place. And basically to be spit on, that's how he treats me. Basically, may as well just spit in my face. It's very hurtful. And then that's on top of other situations that are going on in my life. And I just was pouring my pain out to God that it really hurts to be treated like this. And I don't deserve it. I've never willfully harmed this family member ever. Like I've never, I've had family members that on purpose treated me bad. My own parents would lie to me, try to make me think that I didn't see what I saw, I didn't hear what I heard. You know, what is right in front of my face is, oh, that's not really what it is. And if I ever had any kind of pain, or if any, or injury, or like anybody did anything to me, my parents they would throw me under the bus. My parents were horrible. I mean, they weren't the worst. Like, thank God I wasn't being actually abused by my own parents, because some people go through that, but most definitely psychologically abused, and physically abused. But anyway, I never did any of that kind of stuff to this person. And to be treated the way that I've allowed this person to treat me, it really, really hurt. And I put up a boundary recently. Like, I told this family member, I don't want to deal with you anymore. I love you. I tried everything, and you don't want to have a better relationship with me. So I can't uh, make myself available to you anymore. You know, I'm gone. Let's just, you act like you hate me, and it's, and so, like, he's just a user. He's just become a user and a manipulator and a liar. And he looks at me as someone to use and to abuse, and feels like I'm always going to be there. And there's no reason for him to treat me good, because he can just dump on me and use me like some kind of emotional trash can, and I'm still going to be here, right? So I put that boundary up, and I was just like, let me make it easy for you, because you act like I'm the worst person in the world. I can't do anything right, and I'm so, stupid and useless and whatever. Let's just end this right here, right? So just, you go your way and I'll go mine. All right? I don't want to have anything else to do with you. So anyway, an interaction wound up happening with this person where they were delivering something to me, just bringing something to my house. And when they brought it to my house, like, they did something petty, just acted, real petty about something that went right for me, but it didn't go right for them. And they were like mad at me just because it went fine for me. Everything went smoothly for me, but their situation got messed up. And that just kind of like, I had put the boundary up. I was trying to be I was trying to be strong, and I was just trying to do my best with the situation that I had. I was trying to look at all the pros of walking away from this person, how good for me it is, and how bad for me that person has been. And even like going back in my journals and just reading some of the things some of the situations that happened, that, he treated me really bad for no reason. Just because he was in a bad mood, or, you know what I mean? Like, the type of person, when things aren't going their way, they're just going around, crapping on everybody. Like, just no emotional maturity at all, right? Just taking all their issues out on everybody else, and never looking at themselves or the situations, how they got there, adjusting their behavior, accepting mistakes, and moving on. No, none of that, right? every time something bad happens in their life or they make a mistake or anything like that, big temper tantrum, big, just 2-year-old temper tantrum, taking it out on me. And of course, this never happened in front of anybody else. It's only when, we two were alone. So car rides, horrible, full of like arguments or tension. You can't say anything because this person is just like acting like they're gonna blow their lid if you say anything real, God forbid. So yeah, so anyway, the fact that just because their situation wasn't right, I get all this attitude, right? And it triggered me. That's what it is. It triggered me. And I was just like, this person, like, I put this boundary up, and now, like, they're not even really like allowed to come around me at all, just cut off the communication for the most part. It's like a totally need to basis, and still, this person just doesn't get it and everything. And so I took all those emotions to God, because, like, even though I had been trying to be strong at that point, when I saw that pettiness, and it just really hit me in the face that this family member wants to treat me like this. They enjoy being hateful to me. And you know what? Whether they enjoy it or not, they don't care enough about me to stop. And that's not love. When you love somebody, when you love somebody, you care about how you make them feel. When you love somebody, the last thing you ever want to do is hurt them. And if you hurt them, oh my God, you are falling all over yourself trying to make it right and apologize and never ever do that again. That's real love. When somebody really loves you, they are not going to just willfully hurt your feelings, say rude, unkind things to you, tear you down. That's just not how real, pure love behaves. Real love is kind. Real love is patient. Real love is somebody who, they're a trigonometry master, a mathematician, but they take the time to teach this little tiny person 1 + 1 = 2, and they patiently do it. Even though they're in their mind, these are the basics, these are simple. I'm such an important person. How could I take the time to teach this little, person the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s? But real love does stuff like that, and there's no ego in it. But there's a lack of real love in the world today. So I get that most people don't even know what real love is. But it's there if we want to find it, just like anything else. If you want to go find porn, you can go find that. If you want to go find some scam and how to scam people, you can go find that. So if you want to find out what real love is, you can certainly go find out what that is. But people, a lot of times in today's society, real things like that, real peace, real love, real joy, real kindness, real authenticity, these types of things aren't important to most people today. So I get that a lot of people might really probably don't even understand what I'm talking about. But for those of you that do, putting up with immature people who refuse to self-reflect, people who refuse to honor your feelings, people who refuse to just be a better version of themselves today than they were yesterday and try to do that. You know, those people that they want to compete with everybody else. They want to compete with their sister. They want to compete with their brother. They want to compete with somebody on their job. They want to compete with their neighbor who has the best garden. Or they want to compete with all these outside people, but they won't compete with themselves to be better than they were yesterday. Those kinds of people are toxic. Those kinds of people are toxic because they got these greedy eyes that just want what everybody else has. They want to be the way somebody else is. They want to have what everybody else has, this position, this money, this status, this, that. And they don't want to do the work on themselves to get there. Because the only way you're going to be better, get better, and have better is if you go within and be better. Learn how to get better. Get to that better version of you. And then as you do that work within, eventually it will come out. What's in you, what's within you will come out of you. And then you will be that better. You'll have that better version of yourself. You'll have that better this or that, But there's so many shallow, underdeveloped people that, they want a relationship, but they don't want to do the work to be a good person to be with. And honestly, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of these infant adults that just refuse to mature and expect everybody else to put up with their stinky diaper attitude. Anyhow, so I go to God and I'm just like, God, I don't deserve this. And I'm crying and I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm hurt. And I just let it all out to God, and I was like, God, and my eye was twitching real bad while I was praying. And I was like, see, God, like this is really affecting me. Look, my eye is twitching uncontrollably. That's been going on for who knows how long. And I had been trying to be strong. And I was just telling God, and God knows, because he's with us and he sees what we do when nobody else is around. So he's been seeing me, trying to shoulder this. And I've been in therapy like for the last 3 months, right? And me and my therapist have talked about all this stuff, and my therapist is extremely proud of the progress that I've made and all that kind of stuff. But my eye just was always twitching. And so anyway, I was like, look, God, see, this is stressing me out so much, and I've been trying to be strong. I've been trying to do everything that you want me to do, everything that you told me to do. But I'm not seeing any progress. I'm not seeing any changes, and I'm sick of it. I can't take it anymore. Like I don't deserve this. Like, what did I do in my life to deserve for my whole family and everyone that I've ever tried to love to just see me as somebody to manipulate and use and take all their bad issues out on or whatever. Anyway, I was just like trauma dumping to God, right? And after a while of me crying and sobbing before the Lord and just like putting it at God's feet, the Bible says, cast your cares unto God, because God cares for us, right? Put our burdens on him. And so that's what I did. I just like, here, God. And the other situations that I didn't mention that are going on, the financial stress and the stress of my three grandchildren in foster care, and a terrible custody battle with their mother, who is a really evil person. She's just very wounded and very toxic and mentally unstable. And she would rather hurt the children than let them go and live a better life if she can't have a better life. Like, she's one of those. So anyway, all of that, just giving it all to God, just not, not asking him to take it from me, not asking him to um for anything, just putting it before him and telling him how I feel about it, how much this hurts, right? That's it. That's all I did. I just like if I was a little kid, and I fell down and I hurt myself bad, kind of bad, and you come in the house, and if you got loving parents, which I didn't, but I imagine in my mind, if I had loving parents, then I would be able to climb up onto their lap and just cry for a minute or two and just tell them, I fell down and it hurts, and that they would actually hug on me and actually, like, blow on the little wound and clean it up and patch it up, and give me a kiss on my head and maybe some ice cream or a cookie or something, to distract me from the pain, make me feel better, and then go ahead on and let you go back outside and play or whatever. It was like that. Like I felt like that little kid that I had fallen down, and I was just hurting, and it just hurt, and it was like, God just let me climb onto his lap, and he just held me while I cried, and he didn't say anything, just, and didn't try to shush me up or make me go away, didn't treat me like I was a bother, but actually honored my feelings and allowed me to express my feelings. And so after I had a good cry about it, then I got up and went about my day. And for the rest of the day, like, I was still sad, right? And I just kind of sat in those feelings. I let myself feel those feelings of hurt, of betrayal, of rejection, of feeling, you know, like I wasted my love and wasted my time on this family member, um, that they're so selfish that they'll never be able to see past what they want or themselves to see that, they actually have a family member that cares about them and um, feels their pain and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I just like sat in those feelings, and I just like um did my hobby, like for the rest of the day, just kind of zoned out and I didn't worry about doing anything. I just let myself feel those feelings, and I just like, you know, mourned the loss of that relationship. And just like after I gave myself a day to feel those feelings and to grieve the loss of that relationship, and just give myself permission to hurt, because it hurt. And it was, it was sad. The next day, I realized my eye wasn't twitching anymore at all. Like all day long, I was like, I would just stop and just kind of like feel that my eye wasn't twitching. And then today is like the third day or whatever. And so I noticed that some thoughts crept into my mind about that person, their family member. And as I sat and then I started like allowing myself to think about that person and go down that rabbit hole, I noticed as I started to allow myself to think, the more I thought about that person, my eyes started to get a little jumpy. Like I could feel the nerve in my eyebrow start to like get ready to start twitching again. And I was like, wow. And then I started thinking about uh, my grandchildren's mother. Involuntarily, the thought of her just came into my mind and how rotten she's been to my family. This has been torturous for my grandchildren and for my son and myself and everything. As I and I as I was thinking about her and that situation, again, I started to feel the nerve in my eyebrows start to twinge. And so I quickly put those thoughts out of my mind and started thinking about something else. But yeah, that is it. Like, I was trying to be strong and I was trying to use the tools that I know that I have to deal with the stress of the emotional stuff, that's going on in my life, right? Um, I was putting on the whole armor of God as much as, every day and doing the things that I felt like the Lord wants me to do every day. Just, drinking my water and minding my business type stuff, right? Trying to become the best version of myself type of stuff. But as I went through my day all the time, there was this constant twitching in my eye. And I I say I was trying to be strong, but it wasn't a intentional thing. That's just like who I am. I go through whenever I go through things in life, especially disappointments in relationships. Um I really just look at what was my role in that, and in this role, in this situation with this family member, my role is that I have allowed this person to be a monster to me. I have allowed this person to verbally abuse me. I have allowed this person to stomp all over my feelings whenever he felt like it. I have allowed this person to disrespect me. I have allowed this person to use me up until like until I was at death's door, honestly, because I was neglecting my health so much. And that's my fault. That's my fault. That is my fault because I own me. And people can only treat me the way that I allow them to. When we're talking about voluntary relationships, I'm not talking about the cops coming and putting his hands on you. I'm talking about somebody that I choose to be in a relationship with. And that includes blood family members. Because just because they are my family, if you're a rapist, I'm not going to make myself vulnerable to somebody that if I'm alone with them, they're going to be taking advantage of me like that. No, I don't care if you're family. I'm not going to give a person access to me to harm me. I'm not going to give a person access to my children to harm my children if I know that they're like that. Even if they're family, I'm calling the police on somebody like that. But anyway, I'm not going to, just because somebody is family, it doesn't mean that I have to sit in your presence and let you berate me. It does not mean that that you have permission to tear me down whenever you want to. If a family member is toxic, because nobody can choose their family. But we all choose how we want to show up in this life and to the people that are around us. And if we say that we love people, if you choose to show up and act like a whole ASS, and you just want to be mean, you just want to be toxic, you just, you enjoy hurting people's feelings, you want to say these slick, sarcastic comments all the time and get your jollies off of making other people feel small, or if you just straight cussing people out, just berating people, and that is how you feel. I don't have to subject myself to that ignorance. I'm not so hungry for food that I need to come to the cookout so bad that I will put up with somebody shaming me or blaming me or embarrassing me or using me as the butt of their jokes or just straight up disrespecting me. No, I would rather have cooked all my favorites at home and have peace by myself than subject myself to a bunch of evil people just because they're labeled family. Anyway, it's my fault that I allowed this family member to treat me like this, because I was looking more at all their issues and all their pain and all the things that really they've brought about themselves. They're making a mess of their own lives, and I see it, and I also see how they could get out of it. I also see how they could have better and do better. I also see and know how they don't have to suffer like this, and I'm constantly trying to coach them and tell them and this and that and the other, but they don't want to hear it. And so it's my fault for staying in a relationship where I'm not heard and I'm not valued and I'm not honored. Because relationships, they should be two-way streets. The love that you give, it should be reciprocated. The kindness that you give, it should be reciprocated. The goodness that you give, it should be reciprocated. The faithfulness that you give, it should be reciprocated. The self-control that you employ to make sure that you're not hurting feelings unnecessarily, it should be reciprocated. The peace that you give, it should be reciprocated. If they are not, the joy that you give, it should be reciprocated. If they are not, then I need to look at this relationship and say to myself, wait a minute, I'm putting out love. I'm giving this person kindness. I'm giving this person goodness. I'm giving this person joy. I'm giving this person, mercy, compassion. I'm giving this person all good things. And all they're doing is giving me a bunch of rotten things back. Well, that means this isn't a 1+1 situation. This is a 1 plus nothing situation. As a matter of fact, I'm bringing my positive one, and you're giving me negative. You're giving me a negative one back. So you're canceling out. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's not adding up and you're not giving me good, I'm giving you good and you're not giving me good back, it's my fault for staying in that crappy deal, because that's a crappy deal. So I take ownership of my mistakes. Instead of looking at, oh, this person did me dirty, they so bad, they so awful, and I have that habit of always doing that. Like, I'll look at my own self and say, oh, well, I got married, but it didn't work out, and I accept responsibility that I just didn't make a good choice. I didn't know how to pick a good man. Nobody ever trained me. Nobody loved me enough to teach me anything. And so I was fooled, and I married a not so good guy. And it it's a lesson learned now. Now I know some things to look out for in choosing a partner, that I won't make that mistake again. I try to learn from my mistakes, and then that way it's not so hurtful that I made a mistake, because I've gotten something positive out of it. I've gotten some wisdom out of it. I've gotten some knowledge out of it. And therefore, I can go into the world confident that I won't make that mistake ever again, because I took the time to get some knowledge out of it, right? Not making the same mistakes over and over and over again is a big thing for me. And so, like, since I look at things like that, um, and I don't spend my time blaming other people, I did not realize that there was an imbalance going on in me with that. No, I need to look at that person and what they did, and what are the motives, or what could be the motives behind that behavior. Why are they okay with treating me like that? Have I tried, this or that or the other? And what have they tried? Have they tried to meet me halfway? Have they, like, are they even willing to be civilized? Or are they even willing? Like, I do all this self-reflection, and do they ever do any self-reflection? Do they even think about or acknowledge how they treat me? And so there was that imbalance, that I was looking at myself so much and trying to be better and do better within myself, because I know the only person that I can control in this whole life is myself. That I had a bad habit of not looking at how other people treat me, how other people show up for me or don't show up for me. I'm always looking at, being the best version of myself. And so that's a problem. That's a problem. And so, like, when I was praying and I was just expressing to God how badly this hurt for someone that I love so dearly, and I want the best for, genuinely, to just crap all over my feelings and enjoy it, like that Donald Trump uh, AI generated thing where he's like in a jet and he's dropping feces all over the American citizens. A president should be protecting his citizens, and he thinks it's funny to crap all over his citizens. And so, just like in my relationship, families, we're supposed to love each other and take care of each other and support each other and be each other's, biggest cheerleaders. And, instead, I have this family member that actually thinks it's funny and enjoys crapping all over my heart. And so the fact that I took an honest look at that person and lamented it and gave it to God, I think that that was an emotional release, and then I allowed myself to feel that pain and to feel that disappointment for a day. I was down, for a day. I let myself sit in those feelings for a day. And then I let it go. Like the next day, I literally felt better. I actually felt better and my eyes stopped twitching. And so I'm sharing this with you because maybe you are like me and you're just used to carrying it all. You're just used to things happening and you just pick yourself up and go right back to work and just keep on going, because people have all these sayings, life doesn't stop for anybody and this and that and the other. But you can sit down and tend to your heart. You can take a day. You can take a day and tend to your heart. The world isn't going to stop if you take a day to honor your emotions and let yourself feel what you maybe have been pushing down and trying to get past it. But guess what? Even though you're pushing it down and you're trying to get past it, you're still feeling that pain because every time your mind goes there, you feel that tinge of pain again. Sometimes in your dreams, it bothers you. Sometimes you can't sleep because it's bothering you. When all the lights are off and all the distractions are gone and the drugs are gone and the alcohol is gone and the cigarettes are gone and the sex is gone, whatever you're using to soothe the pain, when you don't have it, you feel it. You can't escape it. And as long as you don't take a good look at those emotions and give them to God, just let them out and release that pain. Scream if you have to. Go someplace by yourself where you're not going to disturb anybody and nobody is going to think that you're dying. Scream and rage. Let that rage out. It wasn't fair. You didn't deserve it. How could they do that? Why would they hurt you like that? Why would they take all of your money? Why would they take advantage of you when you were so young and defenseless? Why would they do that? You didn't deserve that. Whatever it was, let that pain out. Give it to God. Cry for yourself because they hurt you and it hurt and it still does. And even if nobody else cried for you, cry for yourself that you had to go through that pain and let it out. Let that pain out. And ask God to heal it. Ask God to heal your heart. Ask God to help you heal your mind. He will. He will lead you and guide you, right, into the things that can heal you emotionally. And I got it backwards. Like I did all of the things, the therapy, the self-hypnosis, the meditation, the reprogramming of my subconscious mind. I was doing all the work, so busy doing all the work to heal myself, to open my eyes, to get better and everything. I was so busy doing all that, but I never took the time to just take a good square look at what these people have done to me and their part in it, and why they would feel so good and comfortable and even want to do those things emotionally or whatever that happened to me. I never took the time to bemoan that those things had happened to me. I just put my head down and was trying to deal with it. And I have had a whole lot of emotional success and breakthroughs and all that kind of stuff. But my eye was, it was, there's a book that's called The Body Keeps the Score. My eye was telling me that there was one step that I had not done. And I did not realize it. I did not realize that I needed to pop the top on that pressure lid. I needed to open the pressure valve and let that steam off. And that is what stopped my eye from twitching. So I appreciate, if you've hung out with me all this time, I appreciate it. Look in the description and you will see a challenge that God gave to me when I was at my lowest. And I was ready to just I was like, God, either you are going to show up in my life or I'm going to punch this ticket and I'm going to be out of here, because I just do not want to do this anymore. I don't want to continue living if I'm just going to if life is just going to keep on being harsh and hard and terrible, like it has been for me. I don't want to do it anymore. And God spoke to me. I fasted, I fasted for 3 days, and I put that to the Lord, and he spoke to me. I heard his voice, and he told me to make a list of all the things that I have done that have given me victory over the enemy throughout my life. And then he told me to do each one of those things every day for 30 days and see how he would bless my life. And I called it God's 30-day life-changing challenge. And what I quickly realized after doing the challenge for a few days was that God had given me the practical steps to putting on the whole armor of God. I was putting on the whole armor of God. I did not realize it. You go to church, like those of you that are Christians, you go to church and pastors will tell you to put on the whole armor of God, like in Ephesians 6:12, right? And put on the breastplate of righteousness and the shield of faith and take up the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and the helmet of salvation, and having your feet, shod in the gospel. And it sounds so glorious. It sounds poetic, but exactly how do you do that? What are the practical steps to doing those things? Well, that is what God gave me. That is what God caused me to realize, is those 8 steps that he had me sit down and put them in bulletproof form, and do them, right? And made them very practical and applicable. And you can read about all the benefits that have shown up in my life as a result of putting on the whole armor of God every day. It is life changing. It really, really is. It was a whole game changer for me from, living in defeat and always like, just check it out. Okay. But anyway, there's a link to my Patreon. And my Patreon is cheap. It's just $1.11. But once you pay that, you have full access to the God's Life Changing Challenge. And I, it has been a humongous, I can't even describe how much of a blessing it has been to me taking this challenge up from God. God always, it's always a blessing when you do what God tells you to do. He's always trying to lead you to a blessing. I love God. But anyway, I hope you have a fantabulous day. I hope that something that I said gives you peace and gives you clarity about something that's, maybe you needed to hear what I said. Maybe you need to pop your pressure cap. You know what I'm saying? Go find some place where you can do that and it's not gonna, cause a scene or anything like that, but you can scream to the top of your lungs. Maybe you want to go to a boxing gym and do a few rounds, on a big bag, on a heavy bag or whatever, but find a healthy outlet for your hurt and your pain and let it out. Okay. Let it out. If your lip is twitching, if your eye is twitching, if you've got something, a stress, indicator like that, if you've got something going on like that, that means you have unresolved stress that's just building up in your body. And guess what? If you don't let that steam off, it will turn into disease. I'm talking about strokes. I'm talking about heart attacks. I'm talking about cancer. I'm talking about autoimmune diseases. I'm talking about alopecia. I'm talking about just all kinds of, I'm talking about lupus. I'm talking about all kinds of diseases. If you don't figure out how to let that stress off in a healthy manner and stop allowing it in your life, put up some boundaries, stop letting evil people trample on your heart. Nobody deserves to do that to you. Nobody has the right to do that to you. That is uncivilized, demonic, immature behavior. And if people want to be immature and they want to act like demons, let them go and treat their self like that. But don't you sign up for it, okay? You turn the sign around and it's say closed, okay? For that person that just feels like you're just some kind of trampoline that they're just supposed to jump all over and have a good time all on top of, and or like you're some kind of doormat. Your heart is something to be stomped on and spit on and wipe their feet on. If they're treating you like you just are supposed to lick their boot heels and stuff like that, no, honey. God did not put you on this earth to be treated like that. You are a child of God, whether you know it or not, whether you are a Christian or not. You are made in God's image. That's what offspring comes out looking like. Their parents, honey. You look just like your dad. You are a child of God, and you were not put on this earth to be used like some toilet paper. Get yourself back. Do whatever you have to do to get yourself back. If you're in a situation where you're dependent on a spouse that is abusing you, you open your heart up and you pray and you tell God that you want to get out of it, and please, and ask him for help. And he will show you, he will make opportunities available to you for you to be able to get yourself some employment or have an escape route or something like that. A way will show up, but you got to have the guts to take it. And you have to understand that if you take it, God is going to help hold your hand, and he's going to lead you out of the darkness into the light. He ain't going to drop you, babe. God is not going to drop you. You will be all right. If you have to go to a shelter, if you have to go to a friend's house, if you have to go to a relative's house, God's not going to put you under a bridge, okay? He's not going to do that to you. If he knows, if he watches out for every single sparrow, and he knows all the hairs that are on your head because you're his child, he's not going to have you under a bridge, okay? He's going to take much better care of you and your children than that monster you live with. Believe that, okay? God didn't bring you this far just to leave you now. And if you're listening to this and you're still listening to this, you probably, came across it. Maybe God put this in front of you. Maybe you need to hear it. Maybe the Holy Spirit in me is trying to connect with your spirit and tell you you deserve better.